Hello, I'm Shyboy616 and welcome back to my studio, and today is just a quick video. I'm doing a tier list of all the Star Wars Battlefront maps from the original 2 games. I'm doing this pretty much in celebration of the Classic Collection coming out this week. I'm really excited for it because I grew up with this game. I just stumbled upon it. So the way I got into this game was there was a Hollywood video closing down and they were just selling everything off real cheap. Movies, games, and I was playing a lot on the PlayStation 2 at the time. I think 9 years old. That was the console I had. And just for reference, I was born 2000, so it was in fact 2009. So I was just looking around. I got super into Star Wars around that time. I think the year before is when I first watched all the movies and everything. And I was just looking around. I was like, hey, there's a Star Wars game here. Let me get that. And I got home. I knew I had to show my friends immediately. Like next time they come over, I was like, hey, we gotta play this. It's like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, but Star Wars. Only shooter I had played at the time. I just barely got into shooting games with them at the same time. So just getting to find this game myself and just get really into it. And the one I got was 2. I got Battlefront 2 first. It was a little while till I got the first game. I got just super into it, playing the story, just doing all the free play of the Conquest, the capture flag modes, the hero assault on Mos Eisley, all that stuff is just so much fun. So I just wanted to go back and take a look at all the maps and see what exactly were my favorites. But real quick, I just want to quickly review the games themselves. First game, I think the biggest things I had going for it was, yeah, there was the campaign mode where you got to play all sides. So you got to be the Republic, the CIS, Rebellion, and the Empire. Just getting to play all sides of it, just like who made sense to win that battle at that time in the series. It's pretty cool. Nothing grand like narrative wise necessarily, but it was fun getting to do like the battles with the droids and the Gungans, going back and forth on both sides, getting to Endor, Hoth, all that. And then because it was only on episode 2 at that time, you only get to see like the Clone Wars start. That was interesting. And then 2, the final movie came out, episode 3, so they got to do everything. So we got to go from the beginning of the clones all the way to the downfall of the Empire. Well, no, you don't get to see that part of the campaign, but it was pretty fun seeing the clones turn into the Empire and having like real narrative to it and actual objectives in these maps. And the maps just translated perfectly back into that free play. If you play the story first or vice versa, it just works. Like the way they put the objectives in the maps that would otherwise just be pretty much like a Battlefield Conquest type thing, taking over the map. But putting those objectives in there and using that format with the way the maps were already built, it just works great. And then you have the Galactic Conquest mode where you just went through and just had bonuses, like you could get the hero, more reinforcements to take over every planet. Having those modes and making them multiplayer, like you can even do it couch co-op or versus, that was a big addition. Like you even get to play the story in couch co-op. That was probably the way I played it. Not even the first time, it was years later before I had my friends sit down with me and we played the whole thing split screen. That's actually on the gaming channel. I'll just link that right here. Awesome game for single player and multiplayer because you had access to everything, even if you're just playing all by yourself. And not many games really do that. And the fact that this did, and it was very much like a Battlefield, Call of Duty type thing, I love that about it. And that's why I'm really excited to see it come back out, not only to bring back the old audience, but to reach a new one. Who doesn't love Star Wars? I don't like new Star Wars. I really just like the movies, the original 6. But hey, I love these games and I'm really excited to revisit them, so let's tier list these guys. All right, here is the tier list. It was a little weird when I opened it. I had to zoom in the screen a lot because I couldn't tell what they were in these little pictures. So first up we got, what is this? Okay, that's Cloud City. So it's pretty cool. It's funny they used a bit, you know, Han Solo and the Carbonite. I actually like playing this map quite a bit. It's only infantry focused though, because the big sell for this game was it was combined arms. You had your infantry, you could even get the walkers, the tanks, the fighters. You could fly around, and then the second game you can even play the Jedi and all the other heroes, Sith, Han Solo, Chewbacca, the bounty hunters. Ugh. So much going for this game, honestly. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, awesome game. If you just like shooters, still awesome game. It's a solid first and third person shooter. Well, the first person's a little funny, but it looks cool. But for this map being just infantry focused, but even though it's got great gameplay because you got nice vertical, you got sniping positions, you have these interior spots you can go to. That's a pretty solid A right there, honestly. Now this one, also Bespin, it's really cool because this like long hallway part and these little like islands almost, the platforms for all the ships. You could get into dogfights or you can be focused and then infantry combat just in these little like pod things here. I'm gonna also A tier it because it's got the air combat mixed in and you have this like long corridor to fight over, chaotic back and forth. I wonder if they're gonna make it so you can play the Battlefront 2 gameplay, like where you can be the heroes and stuff, and then play the Battlefront 1 maps. I'm hoping that's not the case, because it would be pretty cool to get to be the Jedi and the Sith on this map. Now this one, that's probably going to be the first one I drop kind of low. Simply because I think it was a better map in the story, like going in Order 66, you're destroying the archives, killing off the Jedi and the guards. It's interesting for that. I think it was much better in the story than playing as just a free play map. Now, Dagobah. I like the map. It's not the most creative, it just looks cool. You got Yoda's hut there, you got the little weird spot. Luke had that like force vision thing in the movie. Yeah, obviously it's an adaptation of the movies, but it constantly references moments in there without like breaking the gameplay. Stuff like that is great for games like this. I find myself playing it more than this, so I think I'll C tier it for now. I might bump it up later, but it's definitely gonna go over the temple. But for now, I'm gonna C. Now the Death Star, I like playing the heroes on the Death Star a lot. There's great moments. There's even the trash compact you can slide into and die in if you're not careful. You have to even break the vent. That's another detail that did not need to be. That is just awesome. You can even see the laser fire when you're there, and if you go in that spot where the laser is actually charging up, you will die. I find it a lot of fun playing this as the Jedi, like Luke, and you have the force push, just pushing guys into the bottom. Honestly, it gets the A for, no, I'm gonna S tier it for that, because I would play it a lot just to get the Jedi. Endor, iconic location, big battles, the one that ends everything. And then you also have the walkers, you got the speeders. Get down to the bunker, you have the bit in the trees, there's even the Ewoks running around. It gets S tier for that. Great combined combat right there, combined arms. Lucia, I really like the way this map looks. That big tree stump thing, is that literally what it is, a tree stump? Climbing up that is pretty fun. It's a fun point to capture. In the story, it's cool getting to kill the Acklay. I'm gonna A tier it. Okay, Geonosis, this is the one that made it to Battlefront 2. It's used as the introduction map to get you used to the controls and combat style and everything, the game mode of capturing the points. It's got that fun little vertical spot right here. The little bunker part's kind of cool, I guess. After the intro aspect of it, it's not that interesting. Because here, look, I know I'm putting stuff kind of low. Like, I'm gonna C tier it. I'm putting it kind of low. Yeah, it's got the spider walkers and everything. But I'm considering, here's the thing. If I wasn't doing this, I could probably give every map S and A tier just because I love this game. But if I have to really say, it's like I have to put them somewhere, this is what I'm doing. Because I do like this map, but I don't think it goes as high as these others. Now the other Geonosis in the first game where you got the big walkers, the spires and all that, this one, it has that epic combat feel, like when you see the clones drop in on Attack of the Clones. It's got that going for it a lot. But I don't get the same feeling as I do with Endor, so honestly, I'm going to drop it in A over for Lucia because it is bigger combat than here, even though I much prefer the look of this over just the dark brown sand and dirt everywhere. This map looks way better. This one has like far more interesting combat, very big combat feel right there, big battle. If you played the game, do you even gotta ask? Best map. Huge open map, you have the interior bunkers on one side, you get to recreate the moments from Empire. You have the AT walkers, you can even bring them down with the snow speeder tow. That's awesome. This is absolutely the best map in the game. There's a reason it's the best. Best movie, best battle, best map. I didn't realize, are the Caminos actually different between 1 and 2? If that's the case, I did not catch that. I'm gonna treat them the same. I actually really like them, even though it is just infantry focused. Like, yeah, there's turrets, there's no vehicles or anything. If you have jetpacks and stuff, you can just fly all around the map. It's fun. I'm gonna treat them as the same. I'm gonna put them both in A. It's a fun map to play and it looks nice. I really like the way it looks. Now the Kashyyyk map with the wall, it's like got a D-Day feel to it. I really like that. Like holding up in here, trying to keep the beach clear, trying to be sure they don't capture that and push you in the corner. I really like it. Awesome map. The Wookiees running around too. Pretty cool. Another Kashyyyk map. This is only in the first game. It's similar to that feel of the whole like beach defense thing, but not quite. The beach invasion defense. The platforms up on the sides are pretty cool. I like the way it looks, but it's kind of plain and simple. I'm gonna give it a B for that. Nice clean B. Now the other Kashyyyk map, this one's not as interesting. It has a little more vertical combat. There are ships on this one, like there are the fighters you can get in. So it adds that to it because otherwise it's a pretty flat, well, it's actually not a flat map, but it was gonna be very just whatever if you're only doing the infantry combat. It's got the hill going for it though. So a little vertical gameplay going on. I don't think it's quite on the same level to be a B. I don't think I'd put it over Geonosis. I might even put it over Dagobah, and it's got this like fighters going for it too. I'll put it between, actually. I can't. I play Dagobah way more than this map. Mustafar. Now in the story, this one's cool because you're playing the Empire and you're like cleaning up the remaining droids here. Like you're getting rid of the rest of the CIS. That's a cool mission. And in free play, I would always try to get Anakin and Obi-Wan, so me and my friend would do that so we could try to recreate the duel between them. I think it's got to get A tier for that at least. Below Felucia though, because the map itself is kind of okay. It's cool because it has those bridges you can destroy by messing with the computers and it'll drop them down. So it like blocks off part of the map. So there's cool dynamic aspects to it too. Maigito. I think this is one of the first ones you play in the Battlefront 2 story. Yeah, that's the first mission after Geonosis. I really like the map when you have the objectives like building your way to the other side and then just getting the free play with the circular style and then the part down the middle where it's like a charge, like a spearhead down the front. It's a fun map and you got the tanks going for it too, so it's got that, giant turrets. I think it would be a cooler map if there was fighters on it and then the turrets had those to fire at too. That's something that would be pretty cool to see added. I doubt they're gonna, but just an idea. As is though, it's a fun map. I'm going to put it over Mustafar though, A tier. Naboo Plains. Now in the story, this one was cool because the battle between the droids and the Gungans, and you can even do the hunt mode if you wanted to play the Gungans in 2. I don't think it's that bad. I want to give it a C. I'll give it a B. Because it's a nice clean map, nice greenery and all that, blue skybox. It's very clean to look at, fun to play. It's fun fighting Gungans. Naboo City. Now the city, I don't like it as much. In the story, it's cool hunting down the remaining Jedi after Order 66 and even like assassinating the Queen or whatever. Gameplay wise though, I don't find it as interesting. It is mostly pretty flat. It looks nice though. So appearance, it goes over quite a bit of maps, but actually playing it out, I think it's just barely over Dagobah for that C tier. Why, for the life of me, can I not remember the name? Polis Massa, there we go. I knew I'd finally remember it. Okay, I was trying to remember when I was first going through all the maps. This one's pretty cool because it's got this area where the tanks can fight, but they can only be in the outside area on the actual moon and not inside the facility. Got the caves in the back, then you have these long hallways to fight through, these doors that open and shut. You gotta be careful. It could get pretty chaotic in there. And there's the outside bit where you have to go in the tank to cross or you're gonna die because you can't breathe. It's a high B tier. It's a high B. Now this one, I'm already about to say both Renvar maps are gonna be pretty high for me. I really like the Renvar, Citadel, and Harbor. This one's cool. A lot of vertical combat, tight corridors, corners, even had that broken down tower you can snipe from. It's only infantry, but it just feels bigger than it actually is because of how much up and down there is and the way the hallways wrap around each other. Really cool map gameplay. Definitely got to give it S tier for that. And I got to give Harbor pretty high. I'm going to put it below Citadel though, because it's the only one that gives the Hoth feel without being the Hoth map. Because you have the big walker, like the AT-AT if you're the Empire. I can't think of what that 6-leg one is called for the clones, but you have that if you're doing the Clone War instead. I really like it for that because you can like get it in here, just start blasting everybody with the walker instead, and if it gets destroyed, it respawns all the way back outside and you just get to charge back in with it, even if it is super slow. Tantive 4, okay, that's what this one is. Iconic moment in the movies, even in the story, like yeah, it was cool getting the charge in as Darth Vader, but it's one of those where it is a little cooler in the story, but I find myself playing it more than the Coruscant Temple. Because of the tight corridors, it makes for chaotic combat, and it looks pretty good. You know what, low B tier, low B. Tatooine. This one's got the Sarlacc pit, there's aerial combat, there's tanks, there's even that weird little like hover thing that they use when they dump on the Sarlacc pit you can drive around. I don't know what those actually called, I never knew that. Yeah, you fight Tusken Raiders on this map too. So it's got that going for it quite a bit actually. So this is gonna get A tier. I think I'm actually gonna put it over Geonosis. I think it's the better desert map. Jabba's Palace, okay. Immediately D tier simply because even though I had said the same thing like the tight corridors like on the Tantive 4, this one I feel like it didn't work as well. It felt too closed. The coolest thing being the Rancor pit and being dropped in by that trapdoor in front of Jabba. That part's really cool. But actually playing the map just combat's sake and conquest, it's whatever. This would get S tier simply because it was the only map to have the Hero Assault mode. But now that they're adding it to all the other ground maps in this Classic Collection coming up, I don't know how well it stands being S anymore. Because I would play it to play the hero mode. Like, yeah, it's cool wrapping through the city, but since it's just infantry, there's at least like light vehicles, like even like the AT-STs, the little 2-leg walkers. I can't remember what the clone ones are called. Just little like land speeders, stuff like that. If you could like drive those down the streets and stuff, I think that would have added a little something to it. Because this would have been S if we're just basing off how the original games were, simply because of the hero assault mode being there. But it's going to be in all the maps now. It's going to drop down to A. It's still a good map, but between the Tatooine maps, I would pick the the desert one instead. No, I would have to put it below Geonosis for that. Because it is cool getting to climb on top of all the buildings as well. Ooda-pow. Hello there. It's a fun map. You have like two sides. One's higher than the other, really. There are vehicles. And for that, a middling B. Yeah. Now you haven't for... Okay, the arena is pretty cool. Because every time I've played this one, I almost always don't go on the outside part. But outside of the arena, there are tanks and walkers. I don't even play that part because I'm just stuck in the middle here fighting in those bunkers that are like right across from each other. You just keep sniping at each other's point. It's pretty cool for that. And then you get down in the middle to all this ruins you can fight through. There's a little cover in there to roll around in. And then you can get to that outside part, like I said, but I rarely did that. Interesting map, interesting layout. It's kind of like a similar thing going on to Polis Massa because of the in and out. I'm going to give it B. I'll put it over Polis Massa though. I think it's got a little, like slightly better combat, even if it is a little more varied on the other one. And then lastly, the Yavin 4 Temple. Now this is a pretty cool map. It's got that foresty area you can fight through. I think I'll put it over Mustafar, not over Megiddo. And then you have not only the actual temple where you can get in, that's where tanks spawn in. You have those turret towers. You have the ruins inside the little more foresty type area, that waterfall on the other end of the map. And then more in the middle, you have that like bridge that's broken down. You can get up in that, have a nice sniping position. A lot of varied locations to go through. I really like the way this one plays out. Now, I didn't give anything F tier. I don't think any of the maps suck. And this is just solely based on the ground maps. There is no inclusion of the space maps on this, thankfully, because really the space maps just kind of all feel the same. It's more down to the ship placement and what fighters you like playing more. So yeah, this is my tier list for Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. I'm really looking forward to getting to revisit all these games, like all these maps yet again in one game. That's really cool that that's happening. I'm really hoping that either Aspire, the developer, they either get more titles like this to remake, remaster, re-release, or other studios start doing the same thing, because there's clearly an audience for it. Because you're able to get the old players as well as some new ones as long as you pick the right IPs, right? I think it's a really cool thing happening because a lot of new games I'm not getting into, but a lot of the older games, getting to see them come back and getting to play them on the modern hardware, really nice. It like just add the modern functionality, no having to do workarounds even if you're on the PC, just having it right there ready to go. I really like that. And the fact that it's happened to Battlefront 1 and 2, two of my absolute favorite games of all time, it's awesome to see. I'm really excited for this re-release. I'm doing this list honestly hyped me up. I feel like there was more maps in this though, even though I know this is it. The game just felt bigger than it is, and I think that's one of the best things about it. It feels so grand, like it's a grand scale thing whilst being so simple at the same time. The reboots didn't quite capture the same feel for me, even though they look amazing. I did revisit them. They are fun to play, but I just don't get that same feeling as I do with these classics. So knowing that they're about to make a comeback, it's a pretty big deal. I'm really excited. So if you enjoyed what you saw, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video. I'm Shyboy616, and I will see you next time.